Santa Clara made a couple of roster moves, but the most revealing detail is not the names coming in. It is the type of player they targeted, the coaching staff's old connections, and who lost ground to open the door. Look at the sequence. When two seemingly minor decisions address specific needs, and two young players start pressuring the pecking order from within, the temperature behind the scenes changes. Today we are following those clues without selling you smoke. Experience, pass rush, keeping McCaffrey fresh, and a quiet battle next to Fred Warner. If you want this kind of Santa Clara read, subscribe to 49ers Express and come with me. The trade for DEION Jones looks simple on the surface. The 49ers send Zamir White to New Orleans and receive a 31-year-old linebacker. But the backstory starts talking when you look at the relationships that existed long before this deal. Jones entered the NFL in 2016, when Kyle Shanahan was Atlanta's offensive coordinator. Raheem Morris was also in that building, and later worked directly with the linebacker as defensive coordinator and interim head coach. San Francisco is not bringing in a stranger who has to learn everything from scratch. They are betting on somebody Morris knows, understands how to prepare, and may be able to fit into the defense quickly. That matters because the linebacker room has talent, but it is reaching the end of the preseason with several players banged up. Luke Gifford, for example, missed most of camp with a hamstring injury. Jones gives the team a practical answer for the next few days, and he brings enough experience to help organize the defense when the rotation fills up with backups. Over 10 seasons, he has played 128 games, started 91, recorded 761 tackles, 50 tackles for loss, 12 sacks, 13 interceptions, and 5 forced fumbles. He has not started a game since 2023, so calling him the new owner of a position would be an overreaction. But that resume shows he has seen almost every formation and pressure an offense can throw at him. The most interesting clue may be on special teams. Jones played a career-high 270 snaps in that phase for Tampa Bay last season. That gives him a path that does not require taking Fred Warner or another established linebacker off the field. He can compete for a spot through his value on coverage units, serve as immediate insurance for the injuries, and give Morris a veteran who already knows his system. If he does not make the active roster, he could still be considered for the practice squad. The 49ers bought flexibility, not an empty promise of stardom. On the other side of the deal, Zamir White became expendable because the backfield regained several options. He produced 30 yards on 14 carries across the first 2 preseason games, while Christian McCaffrey, Jordan James, and Kaylon returned to the mix. Khalil Herbert and Sincere McCormick are still in that room as well. Instead of simply releasing a running back squeezed by the competition, John Lynch turned that surplus into a defensive piece that can help immediately. This is a trade built on August logic with January in mind. The staff is evaluating who can survive the final cut, but it is also trying to prevent a minor injury from forcing the defense to improvise once the schedule starts counting. Jones does not need to become the Atlanta version of himself again to justify the move. He needs to understand the call, run to the football, contribute on special teams, and help the defense stay organized when Warner comes out for a few snaps. Behind the veteran name, that is the real deal. Established trust, a short adjustment period, and a roster spot that was going nowhere turned into protection for the team. While Jones arrives with an old connection to the coaching staff, the signing of Viliami Fehoko reveals a different urgency. The 49ers needed more bodies in the edge rotation with rookie defensive end Romello Height dealing with an injury. Fehoko comes in, and tight end Josiah Deguara leaves the roster in the corresponding move. There is no glamour here. This is a coaching staff using the final days of evaluation to keep a physically demanding position from becoming so thin that it cannot even practice properly. Dallas selected Fehoko in the 4th round of the 2023 draft. A knee injury sent him to injured reserve during his rookie season. He later spent time on Washington's practice squad, was waived by the Commanders with an injury designation during the 2025 camp, and also had a stint on Indianapolis's practice squad. He has never appeared in a regular season game. That journey calls for perspective. He is not arriving as a ready-made answer for the pass rush, and nobody should put that kind of burden on a player still searching for his first official NFL snap. But there is a very real opportunity hidden inside this signing. The 49ers' defensive line has always depended on rotation, energy, and relentless repetition. If the top edge rushers are going to attack with explosion, the roster needs players capable of absorbing work in practice, the preseason, and possibly specific packages if they earn it. With height limited, Fehoko gets a short window to show whether the talent that made him a fourth-round pick can still be developed. Every rep now carries double value. It helps the coaching staff keep camp functioning, and it gives the player a chance to reopen his career. The behind-the-scenes detail to watch is not an imaginary sack total before he has earned one. Watch where he lines up, which unit he works against, and whether he can compete for space on special teams or in a developmental role. If he starts at the bottom and quickly earns more work, that will signal a fast adjustment. If he remains only a body needed to finish camp, the signing will have served a temporary purpose. San Francisco does not need to pretend it found a star. It needs to seriously test whether it found inexpensive depth at a moment when Height's injury tightened the numbers. Sometimes a roster improves through a headline. In August, it also improves when tomorrow's practice no longer has a hole in it. The focus now moves away from the players entering the building and lands on somebody who could change how the offense distributes its workload. Kaylon Black made his debut against the Chargers as if the weeks he lost to injury had not stolen any of his rhythm. He ran with violence, kept his legs moving through contact, and looked comfortable in a system that usually demands a lot from a rookie. That impression did not come only from the stands. Clay Kubiak said he loved the way Black ran and highlighted the spark he brought to the offense. The most valuable part of that praise came in the explanation. According to Kubiak, Black does not need every block to be perfect to produce 5 or 6 yards. He can muscle his way through congestion, but he also has the speed to explode for bigger gains. For a young running back, that combination changes the kind of trust he can build. The coach does not have to look at every play call and believe all 11 details must work perfectly for the play to survive. Black showed that he can rescue imperfect execution with his own body. Kubiak also noted that the moment did not look too big for him. Black did not hesitate in his first NFL action. That helps explain why the staff did not panic when the injury cost him a meaningful portion of camp. People inside the building probably already saw a physical and mental foundation capable of shortening his adjustment period. His performance against Los Angeles gave that belief a visible result. It was still only one preseason appearance, and the offensive coordinator made it clear that Black must keep improving and stacking good days. The excitement is real. The role still has to be earned. The central point is right here. Black's development is not only about deciding who becomes the second or third running back. He could help San Francisco manage Christian McCaffrey without draining the offense of its danger. Everybody knows Shanahan prefers to keep his biggest weapon on the field. The problem begins when that preference becomes dependency, and every unnecessary September carry starts charging interest during the games that matter most. Black does not need to steal McCaffrey's spotlight. He needs to earn a reliable package of plays and prove the offense does not lose its rhythm whenever the starter catches his breath. If he can create yards after contact, threaten an explosive run, and handle his responsibilities without tipping off the play call, the coaching staff gains something extremely valuable: functional rest. McCaffrey leaves for a few snaps, but the opposing defense still has to respect the backfield. The next test will be less cinematic and much more important. How does Black respond when the running lane closes? How does he protect Brock Purdy? What does he do without the football? Can he maintain the same level after opponents study his tendencies? The Chargers game did not answer every one of those questions. His debut did earn him the right to search for those answers through more reps. Inside the building, that matters. A rookie who missed time and returned without blinking is no longer running only for a roster spot. Now he is trying to convince Shanahan that preserving McCaffrey can be an aggressive decision, not a concession. Another player is pushing an internal conversation, only this one is happening far away from the noise surrounding the backfield. Jaden logged 62 preseason snaps as Fred Warner's backup and turned that volume into one of the most positive evaluations on the roster. The number matters because this impression did not come from 2 isolated plays. The coaching staff had time to watch him repeat assignments, react to different formations, and maintain his performance across a meaningful sample. The question that will determine the true value of that rise is whether Duggar has a path onto the field as the third linebacker. Backing up Warner already requires preparation and responsibility, but it does not guarantee playing time when the starter is healthy. To earn snaps next to him, Duggar must show that his presence adds something to the structure without forcing Morris to hide a limitation. It could be speed against the run, discipline when closing space, communication, or special teams value. The staff will make that decision based on what he executes, not the excitement outside the building. The context makes this competition even more interesting. San Francisco just traded for DEION Jones, a veteran Morris knows, while the group is dealing with physical issues. That could look like a door closing on Duggar. I read it differently. Jones increases the competition, but his presence could also keep Duggar from having to carry too much responsibility before he is ready. A veteran can stabilize the room. A developing player can be used where his impact shows up most clearly. If Duggar keeps playing well, the 49ers will not have to choose between experience and development. They can create separate roles for both. There is a tactical layer to this as well. The modern NFL pushes defenses toward packages with 5 defensive backs, naturally reducing the presence of a third linebacker. Earning that role requires more than simply being the next name on the depth chart. Duggar has to give Morris a specific reason to replace a defensive back with him in certain situations. Against heavier offenses, in short yardage situations, or against formations that threaten the run without abandoning the pass, a linebacker who plays fast could earn space. That usage remains a projection, and the next round of evaluations will show whether it matches what the staff is seeing. Take this decision into our war room. If Duggar maintains this level, would you rather see him tested next to Warner immediately, or protected as the primary backup while he develops? Tell me in the comments. I want the read from the fans following every roster battle, because this is the kind of decision that rarely owns the headline, but often saves a defense months later. 4 moves, 1 message coming out of the building. The 49ers are turning every roster spot and every rep into insurance for a long season. Jones brings knowledge of the system. Fehoko gets an opportunity created by need. Black could help manage McCaffrey's workload without making the offense less dangerous. Duggar is trying to turn 62 strong snaps into a real role. Now I want to measure the fan base's instinct. Who has the better chance to change this team once the games count? The veteran who already knows Morris, or one of the young players forcing his way into the picture? Comment, subscribe to 49ers Express, and stay with us because Santa Clara has not finished showing its hand.